So I've been living in New Zealand for the last 4 years, and at work there was an American flag, and I jokingly went and put my hand over my heart and said the Pledge of Allegiance, and everyone was kind of like, what is that? And I was like, oh, it's the Pledge of Allegiance. So basically growing up every day at school and like,
oh hell no, bro, I talked about this in a video already. That's some weirdo type stuff. Well, if you stop in front of a flag and start saying the Pledge of Allegiance in another country especially, everybody is gonna look at you like you are a part of a cult.
9 o'clock or whatever, we would all stand up and the whole class would recite the Pledge of Allegiance with our hands over our hearts to the American flag in the corner of the room. And my coworkers were like,
what did he say?
They're probably all looking at her like she lost her rabbit ab mind, bro.
you know, when you say it out loud, it sounds a bit culty.
It is culty. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another amazing video. So we're going to be checking out Americans living abroad. First time you realize America really messed you up. Part 1 from TikTok. This is interesting. I already noticed a few things. A lot of people were scared of Korea, especially when Trump was in office. Now I went out there and let me tell you, that was the best experience I ever had in my life. I haven't even been to Europe yet, and I feel like it would be very hard to top the experience I had in Korea. The customer service in Korea had me almost in tears for how good it was. I was so used to being treated like dog. In my own country, mind you, that I was very baffled when people were asking me if everything was fine. Very hospitable. People made me feel like I had been living in Korea my entire life. All this to say, that was a damn lie in America. People were saying,
oh, you won't like it. They da-da-da-da. They this, they that, da blah, whatever.
I got out there and realized that was a damn lie. So let me know what lie was told to you in the comments down below by either an American or when you realized America messed you up. You could even be an international person and maybe somebody from America told you some stuff that messed you up and you found out that wasn't even true. Like, comment, subscribe, turn on those post notifications, all that good stuff. Let's not waste any more time.
If you're an American currently living abroad, what is one time that made you realize that America really...
When I was in high school, I was a lifeguard, and during my lifeguard training, they taught us that before we even administer first aid or CPR, we had to ask for consent to avoid being sued.
True that, which is why you will never see me saving nobody. If you drown and you just go and drown, I'm like, damn, that's tough, man. And then you about like,
Save me.
like, I can't do it, man. Sorry. I could get sued.
Now fast forward a couple of years, and I'm in London as a waitress, and my company sends me to go do CPR training. And while I'm there, they go over the same stuff that I learned in the States, but I notice that they're completely glossing over this one particular area. So I raise my hand and I ask, what are the laws here? Like, how do you avoid being sued if something goes wrong? To which every single person in the room starts laughing at me.
Well, hey, that's the thing though. People try to get a bag over here by any means. Bro, have you seen the people that try to jump in front of cars to get money from a lawsuit? That's a real thing, bro. If you look like you have money, people will try to do anything to secure a bag off of you.
It says, oh, you're American, right? Yeah, no one here is going to sue you for trying to save their life.
An American currently living abroad, what is one time that made you realize that America really
So in the US, I regularly get pneumonia. I had just moved to Scotland for my master's and I was coming down with a respiratory infection like I do every year. Normally I wait to the point of where I'm like literally unable to breathe before I go to the doctor because it's expensive in the US. Well, here I was like, you know what, I'm here. I paid for the NHS. Let me go get it. Saw a doctor, gave me a prescription. I went to the pharmacy to pick up my medication. Something that I literally would not be able to afford with my minimum wage job and being a full-time student. They gave it to me for free because it was necessary, and I almost cried in the pharmacy.
Hey, isn't that sad, bro? That's sad, because here, bro, like, they won't do that. They're like, oh, well, if you don't have money, that's too damn bad. You can go outside and croak it up.
Like, tears are welling in my eyes.
What is one time that made you realize that America really messed you up?
Okay, so I live in New York now, but I used to live in England, and one time I was out at this bar with my friends, and these 2 cops walked by, and one of my friends was like, oh, I wonder why there are cops out right now, and I looked at the cops, and I got really confused, and I was like, those are cops? And my friends were like, yeah. And I was like, they don't have guns. And everyone...
True that. I'd be like,
are they really cops? They might be security, but those don't look like cops. Cops have guns.
Why would they have guns? They were like so aghast at that question, and I was realized in that moment that there are so few guns in the UK, and it's such not an issue that like the everyday cop does not carry a gun.
you know what is an issue out there in the UK? Knifing, guys, definitely a huge issue in the UK. It doesn't take anything to pull a trigger, but it takes everything to walk up, look somebody in the eyes, and them up. That's scary to me. I feel like that's scarier than the issues we got here in America.
And there are houses in America that have seen more guns in them than a fresh vegetable. It blew my fucking mind. I think about it all the time. I hate guns so much. I hate guns so much.
I kind of do too. I get very uncomfortable around them, even if like they're being used by a person who knows what they're doing. Story time, ladies and gentlemen. I was at a party, and at this party, everybody was drunk, minus me. I was not drunk. The owner of the house decided to show me his gun. He's like, "Hey man, like, look, I got a gun. It's cool. It's an AR-15." And I'm like, "Great, put it away. I don't need to see it." He's like, "All right, cool, fine, you know, whatever." Now, the homeowner's roommate proceeds to stumble out of his room, and he sees my nervous face looking at the AR-15 that the homeowner had just showed me, and he's like, bro, listen, man, stop being so nervous, bro. Calm down. Listen, I'm gonna go to my room real quick, and I'm gonna show you something. So he stumbles to his room, I should say, comes back with a 45. Do you guys know what a 45 is? For monetization reasons, we're going to be using Nerf glizzies, okay? And he's waving it around. Hey, bro, look. See, it's fine, man. It's fine. Just calm down, bro. Hold it, bro. Hold it. I'm like, oh my God. All right. So I hold this steel abomination, right? And I'm like, all right, cool, man. Hey, man, cool. I get it, bro. Put it away, man. Just put it away. It's all good. He's like, bro, you're giving me nervous energy right now, man. You're giving me nervous energy. So what he did, he pulled the trigger while pointing this 45 at me. So I'm looking at it, nothing came out. He's like, "See, bro, chill, man. Like, you gotta pull the safety. There's a thumb safety on the back of it, man. Like, you gotta squeeze the thumb safety, and then you can turn off the actual safety, and then you pull the trigger, bro, and then it works, man. I can put a full clip in here, and nothing will happen, man." Hey, yo, what the fuck? Now, mind you, at this point, I'm sitting on the couch, just shaking, and he's right across from me with this waving this 45 around. He's like, "See?" Then he reaches into his pocket. I cannot make this up. Pulls out a clip, fully loaded clip, loads in the 45, right? Cocks it back. He's like, "See, bro? I can pull the trigger, nothing gonna happen." Listen to what I'm about to say. He pulls the trigger while the gun is pointed at me, and all I see is white. And then I couldn't hear anything. It was like, after I realized what had happened, I saw smoke coming out of the barrel that was just pointed at me. It missed me by a teensy little bit, and I thought maybe I got hit somewhere in my body, so I'm patting myself down slowly, and his eyes were huge. He's like, bro, I'm so sorry. I wasn't expecting that, man. Like, oh my God, I'm such a horrible person. And in my head, I'm like, yes, you definitely are. You definitely are, you piece of shit. But what was crazy, bro, is where the bullet landed. Because I looked behind me and the bullet was in the wall behind me. There were two people in the bathroom behind that wall. No one was injured. I'll clear that up right now. No one was injured. So you guys can probably understand my discomfort when it comes to people holding weapons of any kind, especially guns.
If you're an American currently living abroad, what is one time that made you realize that America really...
In the US, I could not let my 11-year-old son go outside and play by himself.
Hell no, he'd get abducted. Man, another story time. I was 8 years old, and I remember we had a notice passed out around the school, and I'll never forget this because I was scared. I was a little scared. They said to make sure that you have your parents pick you up from the inside of the school, or at least show up before school gets out, because there were white vans literally kidnapping children and driving off with them. And since it was a big city, they couldn't catch every big white van. It just happened. It happened very quickly. There were several kids that went missing that never got found.
Someone would call the cops, or something would legitimately happen to him, and so there was no way. And when I moved to Germany, my husband, who's a German national, suggested that he go outside and play by himself because we would not have to worry.
If you're an American currently living abroad, what is one time that made you realize that America really...
Also, I'm going to add on to what I just said. When I went to Korea, I stayed out at night, and I remember walking to my dorm room apartment looking thing at night through an alley. I had to get through several alleys to get to the base and whatnot, right? And I'm in the city. It's nighttime. In America, that is a recipe to get poked up or clapped up in some kind of way. That's the fastest way to meet Jesus, because someone would prey on you very easily in an alleyway. In Korea, everywhere I went, no matter what time of day, no matter what location I was at, I felt safe, which is crazy, bro, because I've been in a lot of places in America and I have not felt safe.
I didn't realize this until I moved abroad, but Americans have a very strange concept of freedom. Like, when you're growing up, you're always told that America is such an amazing place and, you know, it's land of the free, home of the brave, but like, I keep hearing these criticisms from people like, oh yeah, but America has the most freedom. Wow, yeah, freedom. I mean, there may be a few exceptions or nuances, but in the UK, you're still free. Like, that is the biggest lie that Americans are ever told, that there aren't other free places. Like,
Yeah, that's very true.
I don't understand. And if I'm being perfectly honest, I feel like the concept is kind of destroying American democracy. How ironic. Like, they need to kind of understand that they need to work on things to make themselves better and more free for their citizens.
And I think what she's saying by that is there are, because of how our Constitution is written, there are some freedoms that we have that almost imply that we can infringe on someone else's freedoms because of how old and outdated the Constitution is.
American currently living abroad, what is one time that made you realize that America really messed you up?
Okay, so I'm not currently living abroad, but I did live in Australia for a few months. And one night while I was there, I got a little bit too crazy and I ended up on public transportation without a phone. And I had to find my way back to my apartment and I got lost. And while I got off the tram to get onto a different tram to take me home, a middle-aged gentleman came up to me and I immediately went into attack mode and I was like going to kill him. And he was like, no, I was just gonna tell you which tram to take to get back to Preston.
Oh, bro, I'm telling you, human trafficking here is a thing. So I understand why she was like that. Human trafficking is a huge thing here in America. People get kidnapped all the time. Women get kidnapped all the time. It's so wild that if you are from another country, that doesn't happen, you know? Like, it's hard to process and really like imagine something that crazy happening.
And that was when I realized that in Australia, I didn't need to be afraid. Like, granted, take precautions, but I didn't need to be afraid of every man. But in America, I still am.
It's crazy. It's a real thing. I understand. That's a very valid fear.
You're an American currently living abroad. What is one time that made you realize that America...
So I don't live abroad anymore, but for half of 2018, I lived in Germany and I have so many stories.
Let's go! Tell me about it.
The town that I lived in had like a main plaza area and there was a cafe in that plaza. So a couple of my other American friends and I decided to try it out one day and there was a construction site nearby. We heard a really loud bang and, you know, we kind of assumed that someone had fired a gun. And so we like ducked for cover and then we were looking around frantically trying to find like a place that we could run to or hide to get out of the situation. And then we realized that no one had shot a gun.
PTSD. It happens.
No, it was a loud bang from the construction site. That's it. That's all it was. We'd been speaking in English, and we all have really obvious American accents, so all the Germans around us gave us these really sad looks, like, oh, these poor Americans.
Hey, man, it be like that sometimes, though, my guy.
An American currently living abroad, what is one time that made you realize that America really messed you up?
Okay, so I moved to...
Whoa there, sis! She said, first of all!
And when I got here, I wasn't feeling too well, so I went to the doctor, and the doctor recommended that I get an EKG, an electrocardiogram. Instead of worrying about my health, my first reaction was, I'm sorry, I don't know if I can get one of those because I don't know if I'm going to be able to afford it.
Man, whenever I hear these stories, bro, this is like, just breaks my heart, bro. Breaks my heart. Our healthcare system is trash.
And this sweet little man, this sweet, amazing doctor goes, did you not pay the like $20 when you got here?
20. Look at her face. That is priceless. That is exactly the reaction I would have had too. $20? 20? Excuse me, what?
I ended up getting a regular EKG, a 24-hour long EKG, a blood test, and a freaking checkup for $20.
good googly moogly, as I always say. Americans in other countries sound like people broke out from a cult and don't have to live in fear for the first time. Let's talk about one real thing I find disturbing about America. The fact that the culture relentlessly promotes Christianity. Have you guys noticed that? Now, I know a lot of people here probably might be Christian, but it is embedded in our laws. And I'm just thinking to myself, what if there's other people here from different religions, which, go figure, there are, that have to listen and subjugate themselves to this shit every time they have to go review something? If that doesn't scream rewrite the laws, rewrite the Constitution, rewrite the little national anthem thing a little bit, I don't know what does. Because I feel like that right there is like, that's a problem. Crazy, because I'm just like, whoa, like, why are people feverishly pushing this? In God we trust, on the money you use to buy stuff here, my God? Like, imagine atheists. What do atheists feel like every time they look at that dollar? They're like, damn, bro, I didn't even choose this life. This life chose me.
Best part of this entire situation is that I am getting better and I am getting the medical attention I need without going broke.
Bro, her reactions kill me, bro. Like, this, she needs to make a reaction channel. I would totally watch that shit.
This one time that made you realize that America really messed you up.
I pride myself on being an American. I didn't make it out before COVID, but I went to Norway and I fell in love with Norway. I read about it, researched it, and I was like, I've got to visit first. And I only went for a week, and it was for the Inferno Metal Festival. And for the first time in my life, I was actually called an American.
Wow.
They didn't assume where I was from. And there was this beautiful Norwegian elder, and she says, "God påske." And I said, "Beklager, jeg snakker litt norsk." And I said, basically, she said, "Happy Easter." And I said, "I'm sorry, I don't speak a lot of Norwegian." And she goes, "Oh, you're an American." And she didn't worry about her purse. She didn't look at me sideways. And I cried. I cried when I left, because for the first time, I was able to be just an American. I didn't even hardly drink, didn't do anything crazy.
See, more stories that break my heart, man. If you see the gross mistreatment here in America, and then the blatant cover-ups that the media tries to do, bro.
If you're an American currently living abroad, what that made you realize that America really...
So during the first lockdown, we have an elderly neighbor, and we would go and check in on her every once in a while and like get her groceries if she needed. And progressively, she started not be able to breathe very well. And we knew it wasn't COVID because she had it before. But like at one point it was like she couldn't even get to the door without like literally not being able to breathe and having to sit down. So my partner decided that we needed to call an ambulance for her and get her to the hospital pronto. And
wow.
When he told me that he was gonna call an ambulance, the first thing that I said was,
hell no, because she can't afford that.
Are you sure? Can she afford an ambulance? Like,
That's what I'm saying, bro. It might be best to just Uber her to the hospital. That's what I would do. But like, bro, like, hop in the whip.
We could just drive her. And it wasn't until my partner looked at me like, and that it clicked that, oh, that's not a worry here. And then I went upstairs and cried, because it really smacked me in the face that as Americans, we are conditioned to not worry about someone's health first, but to worry about whether or not they can financially afford to see a doctor.
It's crazy. It's very crazy to me. Why is it like that? Why? Why is it like that? Why is it like that? And the crazy thing is, I've said it in a video that I might not have posted at this point, but I feel like America's specialty is brainwashing. Like, that is a thing. All the politicians got this thing, man. They be selling you a dream, and people be eating it up. They're like, oh my God, we got it so good. Da 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 da. Not to say that we have it oh so horrible, but there are so many flaws with what we have when you compare it to other countries, bro.
So I moved to Germany in 2018 as a study abroad student, and I had a nice apartment that was on the ground floor with a nice patio, a big door that opened that led to the patio. And I was minding my own business in bed one day. The door was wide open. I had my noise canceling headphones on, and I heard these really loud banging noises coming from outside that weren't very far. And I'm like, that's not a firework or a firecracker. It can't be. I freak out because as an American, I'm like, I'm about to get shot. Somebody is shooting up all of the student apartments right now. So I call all of my friends and I'm like, did you hear that? Am I crazy? Do we need to call the police and whatever? And they're like, I don't know, but yeah, maybe call your boyfriend who's German and like ask him. So I call my boyfriend and I'm like, watching, we just heard this stuff, like what's going on? And he's like, not to worry, here in Germany we don't have shooters. Those are probably just firecrackers. And I'm just like, I'm damaged. Like, we are all damaged and freaking out about freaking firecrackers. We think we're gonna get shot up.
God, what is one time
Yeah, man. Once again, PTSD.
that made you realize that America really messed you up?
Hey, I live in Ireland and I've lived most of my adult life here. I moved to Ireland in 1995. My teenage daughter was born here many
She moved to Ireland the year I was born.
years ago, and when she was born, I spent 2 nights in hospital before she was born. I had an emergency cesarean section, and then I spent a further 6 nights afterwards. The total cost to me was 0. Are you sure?
Wow, 0? That's impressive.
No one wants my credit card? Like, do you want my details so you can send me the bill? And they would just like laugh, like, oh, you're American, there's no bill. So 8 nights in hospital, emergency procedure.
Man, I wonder when we're going to fix this. I feel like I won't live to see our healthcare system get to a point where it is affordable and people actually care about other people's health here over money.
American currently living abroad, what is one time that made you realize that America really messed you up?
Okay, I have another one. When I was studying in Spain, we had our orientation the first week of classes, and our program director sat us all down and had to explain our health insurance to us and how it worked. And basically it worked that you paid like €1,000 for the semester and you got health insurance, like free health insurance for everything, covered everything. And she had to sit us down, and she had this big group of Americans in a room, and she was like, listen, if you are sick, go to the doctor. And we were all like,
yes, but maybe no.
and she was like, no, like, Americans don't go to the doctor. You won't go to the doctor when you're sick. So I have to tell you every year to do this, and still kids will just put off going to the doctor because you're used to just like pushing through illness. No matter what it is, I don't care if it's a cold, go to the doctor. And she had to actually like spell that out for us.
That's why people's mortality rates in other countries are better than the US, I feel like. Because I think there's a culture here of not going to the hospital, predominantly mainly because we don't want to have to deal with the cost of whatever it took to fix whatever was wrong with us. And then B, of course, like a lot of people who probably share the same thing, maybe they just don't want to know what's wrong with them. But guys, that was crazy. Bottom line, America, we need some work done. Some serious work done.